Welcome to an all-new episode of Sports Path. The fall seasons are starting to wrap up, and we have got all your postseason highlights coming up.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. We'll also bring you our first edition of our new segment, Coach's Corner, which is just as good as that deep bomb Tartan had at the beginning of the clip.
And you know we'll have all that and more tonight as we take you down the Sports Path. Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Sports Path. Why is it special, you might ask? Well, the show is now being aired in 27 cities, and John, I feel like we're going big time, my man.
Oh yeah, Sam. Thanks to Town Square Television in the South Metro area of St. Paul, you can now watch us on Comcast in any of their cities, and of course, CTV airs this show as well.
There is a graphic right there of all the cities you can see the show in, so call your friends in those cities and tell them to tune in to their local cable access channel to watch the best high school sports coverage in the St. Paul area.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching us over the World Series tonight, we greatly appreciate it. But we'd like to once again,
we understand.
Oh yeah, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning into Sports Path. If this is your first episode, we invite you to sit back, relax, and get ready for a half hour full of great high school sports coverage, especially your Fab Four schools.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, you know what time it is? It's about that time that we start our show like we always do with our social media montage. All right, first off tonight, we want to start with a little tweet here from Zephyrs Elite. And it looks like the Zephyrs lacrosse team had a Halloween practice as they prepare for next spring's lacrosse season. Got some nice creative costumes mixed in right there. Just got to wonder how easy it is to practice with all that on.
Yeah, and you know, you got to give them an A+ for creativity. Our next tweet comes from the Matamidi girls soccer team. They came from behind with a halftime deficit to take down North Branch 3-2 in the semifinals of the state tournament. They now play tomorrow, November 2nd at 12:30 in the afternoon. Hopefully they can come away with an upset against number 1 seeded Orono. Good luck, Zephyrs. Congratulations to the year that you've already had. All right, well, that's all we got for this edition of the Social Media Montage. All right, so now we'll take you guys to a quick recap of the football standings before we get into section play here. North St. Paul finished winless in the regular season, but could they pull the upset over Tartan in the sections? And as you can see, they'll take on Tartan, but Robbinsdale Cooper takes the crown there with a 4-0 conference record, 8-0 overall. So now we'll switch over to the Suburban Gray. Matamidi finishes second as highlighted last episode. Tartan finishes in the middle, but with the 3-5 overall record, they were definitely an underrated team going into sections and into the Metro East. White Bears winless again. They are now on a 19-game losing streak. They haven't won a game in over 2 full seasons. They're in a tough section with Cretin and Roseville at the top, both 6-2 overall, but the Bears have to do something to improve next year.
Yeah, tough year for the Bears, but I like some of the things they've been doing on offense, and I think they're going to get a win next season for sure.
Let's hope so.
All right, well, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the Section 4 5A bracket. Matamidi starts out with a bye week thanks to getting the number 1 seed. Tartan takes on North, and the winner of that will take on St. Paul Highland Park. But we have the highlights of who won that Tartan and North game coming up right now. And John, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, me and Jeb Brand were on the call for this one. So we'll take you to Tartan versus North St. Paul, which was at Tartan. And this one started off with a surprising North St. Paul run for number 21, Jeremy Weldon. He was about a 9-man box, but he found the gap up the middle. He takes it all the way to the end zone. And just like that, the winless Polars are up 7-0 against Tartan. Northern has some good defense, and they force Tartan for a punt out of their own end zone, but the snap is high and it goes out of bounds, and that's a safety, folks. Scored 9-0. No one thought the Polars would be in this kind of lead. So the Polars offense started to struggle a little bit. Here's a fumble, close call, but it's recovered by the Polars. They barely got away with that one. But the very next play, another fumble. This one goes to Tartan and would set them up for their first scoring play And you'll see it right here. Solomon Whalen goes deep down the sideline, and that's Ben Bruin. He'll catch the ball, and he'll tiptoe down, keeping himself in. And that's 6-0 now, Tartan. Now they'll be setting up for the extra point. Here it is. It's a bad snap, but the placeholder gets it up to Whalen. He throws it into the end zone eventually here, right in the far near side, and he gets the 2-point conversion. What a heck of a play by Solomon Whalen. Now in the third quarter, Cyrus Kalkorf takes it in to give Tartan the lead. They fail on the 2-point conversion, so it's a 14-9 lead. In the fourth, Whalen shows his mobility and rolls out to get a pass, and it sets them up for another touchdown, as that'll put them down within the 10-yard line. Now here's the scoring play. Whalen will keep it himself for an easy QB sneak, and they didn't put a D tackle over the center on that one, so it's an easy score. Now we'll switch over here. Trey Martin now back in the game after struggling in the first half. He takes it up for a big gain up the far sideline, down to about the 30-yard line. But they'll give this one to Kalkorf. He'll get in there. Nice sealed block there by the right tackle to spring him into the end zone for a touchdown. A great, it was a sloppy game for Tartan at the beginning of the game, but they eventually pulled it together. They benched their starting running back, Trey Martin, who, had over 1,000 yards rushing, and they gave it to Kalkorf, and he put the team on his back, and he really took over that game, and North St. Paul's offense really couldn't do anything.
All right, so you see Tartan got the win over North, although North held close. We'll take a glance at that Section 4-5A bracket again. And looking at the next round against St. Paul Highland Park, Tartan comes away with a huge upset, winning 21-7. They will go on to play Matamidi in the section championship. Now we'll look at Matamidi. After their bye week in week 1, they took on Minneapolis Washburn, and in a decisive rout, the Zephyrs won 42-21. So 2 of your Fab 4 schools face off against each other in the section championship, and we will be right there on Friday night.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a heck of a game. I'll be there. So now we'll look at 6A bracket. We're looking at White Bear Lake in the state tournament. They went against Prior Lake, the 10th ranked team in 6A, and were absolutely demolished 27-0. A once proud program over at White Bear Lake. They had a good team as long as I can remember back when I was in school, but they haven't won a game in a couple years now. And one has to think, what can they do, Sam, to make this program turn it around in order to be respectable once again? And that's up to Coach Bartlett.
Yeah, I think they might have the tools to do it. Got a lot of kids at that school, got a lot of good resources. So let's go White Bear, get back to the top of the conference. All right, with that out of the way, it is now time for an all-new segment that we're excited about. In this segment, we go out and interview a Fab 4 coach following one of their practice. And in this first edition, we get to interview head coach Dave Metzel of Matamidi. And they are currently gearing up to face off against Tartan, as we mentioned, and are trying to book a ticket to the state tournament once again this season. Let's see what Coach Metzel had to say on this first edition of Coach's Corner.
Hi everybody, welcome inside the weight room here at Matamidi High School for the first episode of Coach's Corner here on Sports Path. I'm pleased to be joined by Matamidi High School head football coach Dave Metzel. Dave, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So we know that you're the head football coach for the Matamidi Zephyrs, and we also know that you're a math teacher here at the high school as well. Not something that a lot of people would associate those two positions together. So could you talk a little bit about how you came to become head football coach here in Matamidi?
You know what, I came here about 22 years ago and was an assistant coach for the first 15 years or so, and had the opportunity when Wally Malmstrom retired. It's been a fun ride. It's been a great opportunity and a privilege that I'm lucky to be here.
Well, last season you made it to the state tournament in your first year as a 5A school. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, having Jalen Fry in your backfield as far as getting your team to state and the experiences that you had there?
You know what, it was a fun team. It was a team that came and worked hard every day, but more importantly, a team that worked together and had fun playing. It was a fun group to be around.
So this season, you finished the regular season up at 7-1, and you defeated the Minneapolis Washburn Millers last weekend here at home. Can you tell us what you liked about that game against the Millers?
You know what, we came in and just, we did a real good job of playing out our game plan. You know, they have a couple very good athletes on that team, and defensively did a nice job of corralling them. and keeping them at bay. And offensively, did a nice job of kind of controlling things, especially in the first half, and to get up on them.
Let's talk a little bit more about some more specific players on this team. You have a lot of senior leadership, and we heard you talking significantly about Anthony Pramel as well. Can you talk a little about the players that have really impressed you this season and what they've done for your team?
You know what, I've been impressed just as a group as a whole coming together. Coming into this season, we had 2 starters coming back from last year's on the offensive side and 2 coming back on defense. So we've had a lot of guys that are playing for the first time at the varsity level. And you know what, each game they've improved, and now they have that experience, and they're kind of gelling together as a group, and that's what's been fun to watch.
So let's talk about your matchup with Tartan coming up on Friday. You defeated them 27-20 the last time in the regular season. They're a team that finished under 500, but still played relatively well with you guys. What's the game plan for victory on Friday?
Score more points. You know what? They're a dangerous team. Their record isn't as good as I'm sure they hoped. It's a new coach there this year, and I think he's done a great job as far as I think they've continued to improve throughout the season. And right now they're a dangerous matchup. They have a couple very good athletes on the team that they can score from anywhere on the field. And they're just physical, big and physical team, and well coached. So it's going to be a battle.
Well, the Zephyrs will play host to the Tartan Titans this Friday, 7 p.m. on SEC Sports. John Miller and I will have the call. Again, we want to thank head coach of the Matamidi Zephyrs, Dave Mutzel, for joining us here tonight on the first edition of Coach's Corner. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, this is your home for Matamidi football here on SEC Sports.
Yeah, so thanks for Alex Wexstead for interviewing Coach Metzel. Let's get moving and show how the girls' soccer standings turned out this season, Sam.
Yeah, got to move quick. So taking a look here at the Metro East standings, where Matamidi ended up in 2nd place after tying Hill Murray on October 3rd. The Pioneers won all of their other conference games, while Matamidi's 0-0 tie against South St. Paul all the way back on September 19th left them 2 points adrift of the eventual champions, Hill Murray. Then in the Suburban East, White Bear Lake had a fantastic year, ended up winning the Suburban East Conference and going a perfect 8-0-0. So congrats to the Bears. And that's how things wrapped up in the regular season. Let's take a look at some of the section playoff brackets.
Yeah, so after that impressive regular season, White Bear moved on to the Section 4 AA tournament. It was a Fab 4 matchup in the play-in game with Tartan taking on North in a thriller, seen right here on SEC TV, with the Titans getting the 1-0 win in extra time. Tartan moved on to another Fab 4 matchup, this time against the White Bear Lake Bears. The Bears coasted, winning 7-0. A great season for the Bears, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end, and that happened in the semifinals against Mounds View as they lost 2-1.
So unfortunate for the Bears, but looking here at Section 4A, we had another Fab 4 school as the #1 seed. Matamidi got that 1 seed despite losing the conference crown, as I mentioned, to Hill Murray, but it didn't really matter as the Zephyrs looked definitely deserving of that #1 distinction. Cruising past all their opponents, including a 6-0 drubbing of Hill Murray in the final. The Zephyrs outscored their opponents 23-0 in sections, shutting out everybody they faced. So congratulations to the Matamidi girls soccer team on a state tournament berth.
Yeah, so now we'll look at the state tournament. They bested Bemidji 3-0 in the quarterfinals to get to the big show on the field at US Bank Stadium. It was a close 3-2 victory, as we showed at the beginning in our social media montage. They allowed their first 2 goals in the postseason when North Branch came within a goal of Matamidi. They now face off against the #1 seed Orono, as we highlighted, for the championship game of Class A. That's 12:30 on November 2nd, tomorrow in the afternoon. Go Zephyrs and good luck, ladies.
Yeah, they're playing good soccer at the right time of year. I think they're going to do it. Let's win this one. Matamidi state champs. We'll find out tomorrow.
Hey, they pulled the upset in tennis last year, Sam.
You got that right. They got it in them. They got it in the DNA.
Yeah. That school is great.
Yeah. All right, well, with that, girls soccer out of the way, we'll move on to boys, and we'll take a look at how they ended up things in the regular season. North St. Paul boys soccer finished in 2nd place in the Metro East, but not bad after losing a couple of their main contributors from last season. Matamidi finished right behind the Polars, but in a great spot for the smaller 1A school. Over in the Suburban East, White Bear Lake finished near the bottom but had some good non-conference results and finished with a pretty good year overall.
Yes,
and
now
that's
we'll
pretty
take a
much
look.
it for standings. Sorry, John.
No, it's
wrapped
fine.
up so quickly I didn't know what to do.
Now we'll take a look at the Section 4 2A bracket. Let's get you guys wrapped up with that. It was a Fab 4 quarterfinal matchup as North St. Paul welcomed White Bear Lake. And if any of you saw our last show, you saw some crazy highlights, some stunning goals from that one. As you can see, White Bear got the 3-1 upset and headed into the semis to face the 1 seed Stillwater. Stillwater got the 1-0 win and went on to beat Woodbury 1-0 in the section finals. So the Ponies will be representing Section 4 AA at the state tournament. So what a great end to the season for White Bear. Nobody predicted them to win that far, upsetting a great North team. But they get their first conference win, and they're eventually able to get that big win against North, as I just highlighted. And they played a very good Stillwater team, who was one of the best teams in the state, Sam. So congrats to you guys on an awesome run.
Yeah, absolutely. Stillwater in the state tournament last year and always doing big things in soccer. So now over in Section 4A, the difficult regular season paid off for Matamidi, and they got the #1 seed. After getting a bye in the first round, they beat St. Paul Washington 4-0 in the quarterfinals. The Zephyrs would then face off against 4 seed St. Paul Como Park in the semifinals, and that was a game we covered right here on SCC. And we will go to the highlights. John, take it away.
Yeah, we'll take you to the beautiful Matamidi Stadium once again, this time for soccer. We'll take you midway through the first half. Corey Pilarski takes out a Como player in the corner. Como wants the call, but Gerlinski ends up with the ball and puts it in the net for a 1-goal lead. Como upset about that no call. Now it stays 1-0 until midway through the second half. Kobe Owu for Como puts it past the goalie to tie the game, and this is where it starts to get interesting. Another centered ball eventually gets to Owu, but he's taken down by a Matamidi player. Ref blows the whistle, and it's a penalty kick for Como. That's a huge turn of events. Now with Owu down, La Hutu takes the penalty kick. Helio De La Torres is in goal. He dives left, he gets a piece of it, and it just ekes into the net, and it deflects in. Como is up 2-1. Now with time counting down, Helio De La Torres gets pulled from the goal, but there is a controversy here, folks, because he needs to be wearing all white. If he plays out of the net, they finally find him some white jersey and socks to wear, and De La Torres takes the field. No luck, though, as Como uses some tricky moves eventually here in the corner, as we'll have that coming up, and they'll just trap themselves in the corner, and they'll eventually just run out the clock, playing a game of keep away against Matamidi. So De La Torres doesn't do anything on offense, so that's a final. Como wins 2-1 on the penalty kick, which we have here again. Just nothing De La Torres could do. Just got to get down just a little quicker, but that's got to be some quick reflexes. He dove right away, just got a piece of it. Powerful shot there to get past him. And the Matamidi boys team gets stopped in the semifinals with a 2-1 loss to St. Paul Como Park. So that's a great effort. We'll see you again next year, and we always love covering that team as well.
So yeah, unfortunately for the Zephyrs, their season ends a little bit early as they were upended by Como. Como Park got 3 seed St. Paul Harding in the section final, with Harding taking that one down 4-0. So St. Paul Harding makes it to the state tournament. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, well, that's it for boys soccer. What a great end of the regular season. Remember, folks, we still have the Matamidi girls in it playing for the Class Single A trophy on November 2nd, so don't miss that one.
All right, John, enough of all that soccer. Let's move on. Next, our production staff have got one of our local activities director on the phone to talk about what's coming up at their school. This week, we have Ray Kirch on this all-new edition of Hold the Phone. Well, Ray, it's your first time joining us on Hold the Phone, so thanks for being with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be a part of your program.
Well, to start off, let's go back in time to last season in girls tennis. It is well known that Edina has a national record in the state tournament wins, but last season the Matamidi Zephyrs upset Edina, winning the state championship for the Zephyrs. What was the atmosphere like around school at that time?
Well, for the girls to beat Edina last year in the semifinals, and then have to come back. And I get our E schools mixed up. We beat Eastview or Egan in the state finals last year, and I apologize. We compared it, the girls compared it themselves to back in the day when our U.S. Olympic hockey team beat the Russians in the semis and had to come back and beat Finland in 1984 or whatever it was. We returned a strong nucleus of young ladies. We had a new tennis coach, Julia Corder, and they just rallied this year around each other to have a great conference season. They were undefeated again in conference play. And at the state tournament, there were some tremendous matches. We had some kids really battle for points. Unfortunately, got beat in the semis and had to come back. And thankfully and proudly, I'd say they finished on a high note. Just as successful this year as last year.
All right, so with the fall season wrapping up, and we're heading into the winter season. I know the basketball team, they lost some great players. Parker Fox, he can't trade away 20 points a game, and Shane Frost, they're both graduating. What can we look forward to as we head into the winter season?
We're optimistic about winter, as we always are. Gymnastics will be strong again, and Debbie Driscoll runs a terrific program, and we're always strong in gymnastics. Wrestling will be pretty solid and probably improved. Matt Oswald, the assistant coach the last few years, is going to take over as the head coach. You're right about boys basketball. They did lose a lot of players. They had a lot of talent last year that moved on to the college ranks. Keith Newman, again, that tradition, that guy who's in our building, will lead them. Girls basketball returns quite a few players, and Coach Pros and that squad is pretty optimistic about their season going forward. And then both our hockey teams are strong. Boys hockey's always been strong and will continue to be strong. And girls hockey's on the rise at Matamidi. Both our alpine and Nordic ski programs have been in my office several times this fall, anxious about getting snow and getting out to the slopes and to the Nordic ski slopes. So we look forward to seeing them compete this winter.
Well, Ray, should be an exciting time, and it's been great having you on the program. I want to thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate the coverage and your continued support of Matamidi Zephyr programs, and we look forward to continued partnership with you as we go through finish up the fall and get to the winter and the spring. Thank you.
Well, that was Matamidi Activities Director Ray Kirch, ladies and gentlemen, on this edition of Hold the Phone. Well, after hearing from Ray, we will get into volleyball now and take a look at the standings as the regular season is now over. In the Metro East, North St. Paul won the conference again this year after running the table and finishing with a very impressive 23-3 overall record. Now, Tartan finishing over 500 in the Metro East at 4-3 and 11-7 overall, very respectable. And in the Suburban East, we see White Bear Lake didn't do so hot, near the bottom of the standings for the Bears, although they finished with a better overall record than Park of Cottage Grove, so they may not be the worst banana in the bunch, and picked up a few more wins than last season, so trending in the right direction for White Bear.
Yeah, you gotta like what you see there at the end of the year. So after the round of playing games, we were left with the North versus Matamidi quarterfinal. North takes it 3-0, go figure. Tartan took on Spring Lake Park in a closer matchup, and this one went to 5 sets. 4 of those sets were within 5 points, but Tartan moved on. It was a Stillwater versus Tartan matchup, and we've got the highlights right here, courtesy of our guy Ted LaRue on Valley Access Television. So we'll take you to Stillwater Gymnasium, and we'll take you to the first set where Tartan's Alexandra Lyle sneaks it past an outstretched defender as Katie Krenz to make it 3-1 Stillwater. But Stillwater was too strong. Junior Reese Kohler takes the free ball and slams it down right there. That's hard to stop. And now Tartan almost sneaks one past the Pony Blockers, but Stillwater comes back with a huge hit, and Stillwater takes the first set. Stillwater stays strong in set 2. Ashton Brenner with the big kill to tie it at 1. Stillwater eventually tipped this next one over, and Tartan returns, but the ball goes right back to Stillwater, and they slam it down for a 17-6 lead in the second. Stillwater would hold on and take that set. And now let's go to the third. Tartan senior Megan LeMay scores back-to-back aces. She'll study forensic science at Simpson College in Iowa. No word if Bart will be there. And she could survey the court just as well. But the night belonged to Stillwater as Kayla finds another kill. Ponies advanced to the section final. great job. Nice game there by the Ponies.
Yeah, there's a look at the bracket. North St. Paul took on Moundsview. That's a game that we also have highlights of, and I believe we're going to roll it to see who is going to face Stillwater in the section championship. Polars start out with a close match, tied at 3 after a spike by Lawrence Stenman. Gets it all knotted up at 3 here in the first set. Then they hold out, and Stenman brings them to a 24-17 lead with another huge spike later in set number 1. And they will take the first one 25-17 after a bad setup there by Moundsview goes out of bounds. So first set goes the Polars' way, 25-17. Second one not as close. Selena Rodriguez comes up with a big hit, making it 20-7 late in the second. And then set point comes from Elena Zakruski. Big hit from the senior right here. That's a 25-17 final again in the second set. And now we will move on to the third with the Polars leading 2-0. With the 2-0 set advantage, I should say, North takes a 10-point lead after a big hit from Stenman again. That outside hit from right to left causing huge problems for Moundsview all night. That it made it 13-3. Rodriguez again from the back of the court, a powerful hit for a 15-3 lead. Rodriguez continues to be en fuego and makes it 19-4 right here a few points later. And that is a strong lead for North in this third and hopefully deciding set for the Polars. Rodriguez will finish it out from behind the service line, 25-11 in the third set. North is going to run away with this one, and they will be into the section championship against Stillwater, and that takes place tomorrow night, and we will broadcast that here on SEC TV.
Yeah, I'll be there, Sam. Super exciting. Can't wait for that great matchup.
Yeah, it's bound to be a great championship game. You know, we will be there, and we will also discuss something that we don't cover quite as much here, and that is tennis. But another Mahtomedi team found success in the postseason tournament. Mahtomedi upended Roseville in Section 4 2A, so they went on to the state tournament back on October 11th. They made it all the way to the semifinals, but lost to St. Cloud Tech 4-3. They held on in the third place matchup, though, to beat Wayzata 4-3 and take home that third place trophy. So congratulations once again on an impressive season to the Mahtomedi girls tennis team.
Yeah, well, folks, it's that time again. Let's take a look at this week's Athletes of the Week. All right, for the Athlete of the Week, I look at each of our Fab Four schools, and I pick an athlete that stood out over the past few weeks. For my Male Athletes of the Week, second week in a row that I have more than one, I have to go with junior wide receiver number 5 from Tartan, Timmy Owen. His team needed to get the passing game going against Highland Park after being held down by a very bad North St. Paul team, and he was just the spark they needed with 108 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And now I'm also going to have to go with senior running back number 22, Brandon Anderson. As Sam highlighted earlier, this kid put up video game-like numbers. 25 rushes, 211 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So you two, good luck against each other this week, and I'll be excited to call that game. All right, so for my Female Athlete of the Week, I have not 1, not 2, but 3 players to highlight, all being from White Bear Lake girls soccer team. Claire Odemark, Erica Townley, and Kayla Anderson all were named to the Minnesota All-State team. So congratulations, girls. Your hard week definitely didn't go unnoticed around the state. Your season is still going. Good luck tomorrow. And, well, folks, you know, a lot of great athletes out there. Sorry if I didn't pick you, but keep up that good work and tune in for our next Sports Path to see who I choose for my Athletes of the Week.
All right, well, that just about does it for tonight's program. I want to tell you, or remind you, as I say, about a couple upcoming broadcasts we have. We've got that section final tomorrow, North versus Stillwater volleyball, and then a section final on Friday, Mahtomedi versus Tartan in football. Look for when those will air and when you can catch them, and always get them on our YouTube channel a few days after they air as well. Next episode of Sports Path is going to be on November 15th, 2 weeks from tonight. Well, nice show, John.
Yeah, it was a good one, Sam. Can't wait to do it with you back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.
It's run down the sideline. Touchdown. Tartan. A lot of super fans here for North St. Paul as well. They're still cheering their team on, but Colthorpe just scored another touchdown. His second of the game.